skin makes me cry. You float like a feather in a beautiful world. I wish I was special. You're so fucking special. But I'm a creep. I'm a widow. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here. What's up, man? Welcome to the show, George.
How you doing?
Good to see you, man. I'm glad to have you on the show. Welcome to the Greatness Machine. How you doing, man? How's it down under today?
Really good, mate. Spring has sprung. It's actually starting to be warm in a little old Adelaide here in Australia, so it's very exciting. I love the intro. I love music, and it gets you pumped, doesn't it? It's great.
Oh, I love it, man. Well, let's do a little bit of housekeeping, guys. Welcome to the Greatness Machine. I'm your host, Darius Mirshahzadeh, and today we have an amazing guest visiting us from Australia, Mr. George Markoski, man. Welcome to the show, man. I'm so pumped to have you.
Excellent. I feel like I need to say g'day, mate, just for American guests.
Yeah, I love it. Let's do it, man. So let's do a little bit of housekeeping, guys. Look, the format of the show is quite simple. We're bringing together change makers from all over the world who are living their passions to create greatness. That's why we're called the Greatness Machine. We are live, so my team's on standby. Start a watch party. We're going to be talking about some amazing things. We're really going to be having a great conversation about what's happening on the world stage economically, as well as some great talk about entrepreneurship with George, who's joining us from Australia, as I mentioned before. So yeah, start a watch party. Ask us questions. My team's on standby. I know I'm a dick. I'm working on Labor Day here in the States. Sorry, guys. I love you. But it is book launch week for me. My book launch is next week, so it's the countdown, and we're hitting it hard. Besides that, yeah, like I said, we have a really special guest. I met George through a friend of ours, Barry Magliardi, and I did a talk for his coaching group down in Australia, probably about 6 or 7 weeks ago. George and I connected. I went and talked on his show, and I was like, man, we had such a great conversation. I'd love to have you on my show. So here we are doing it again here on my show, and I'm really glad to have you. But before we go there, I just want to talk a little bit about, you and all the great things you've done. First of all, George is a serial entrepreneur. He was once retired and then came back into the game. He's a real estate expert, author, does education and coaching, and he has a business called Positive Property Solutions down in Australia, and also wrote a book called Freedom Through Property. So, dude, so stoked to have you, man. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Great to be on, mate. Excellent.
So like you guys are down in Australia. Obviously, you guys have been affected by the COVID a little differently than us in the States. I think the governmental intervention's been a little bit more strict down there than here early on. You guys, do you think a lot of that has to do with? And the reason I asked that before we get into the real estate stuff is I do really believe that all these things are connected, especially macroeconomically. And our real estate here, we have segments of our real estate population here in the States that won't recover anytime in the next decade or two because of this, specifically on the commercial real estate side. But, when you guys I look at Australia and I say, okay, well, we have similar, technologies, we got, similar cultures, the Americans, America, obviously, and Australia is Australia. But, when you look at the difference in how the two countries responded and have been affected by this COVID pandemic, what do you think is, like, when you think of your country and how you guys have reacted and how that's affecting the business environment? I mean, what sort of thoughts do you have?
Yes. So look, basically, I think that one thing is because we're the Southern Hemisphere and we were coming out of a summer, and people are coming out of summer have got more vitamin D. That was a big help as well, right? Okay. But also, we've sort of learned from watching Singapore and other places like that, and sort of locked down pretty tight. Not as tight as New Zealand. Look at New Zealand; they just jumped out of COVID very quickly. And New Zealand, for example, they've had over 104 weeks of rising real estate prices in a row.
Wow.
Even during COVID. You know what I mean?
So do you think that, and I, like one of my theories is that you guys are so close to China, right? And because if you look at like the bird, like we have swine flu, bird flu, all these things, all these different flus that have affected the Southeast Asia population. Is it because you're so close to it, and because of a lot of the trade that happens between Australia and a lot of these Asian countries? Do you think that that is one of the reasons why you guys were so quick on the draw? Is that something more cultural, do you think?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you, but I think we did well. I think we were a bit slow personally, because what happened was, I remember when COVID came out, there was some tourists from China that went through all the holiday destinations in Adelaide, and they had COVID, and suddenly, but we caught onto it really quick, did the tracing, got everyone quarantined really quick. So we're really on top of it. So I feel, everyone was sort of supporting the movement, because there's sort of two sides to it. There's one group that are saying, lock down and wear masks, and there's another group in Australia saying it's not real. There's no virus. This is a load of BS. They had a big protest a couple of days ago. It was pretty crazy.
Wow. Okay. So it's not just in America that half the population believes it's fake.
Well, the funny thing is, you got the left and the right, and you had the left having the big Black Lives Matter, big protest going out there. Then now you have the right coming out there saying, well, we want freedom and we don't believe in this. So it's interesting that both sides wanted to go out and demonstrate. The thing is, like, I personally, doesn't matter if you're left or right, I think that if you're exercising your democratic right to protest and show your feelings, I think there's nothing wrong with that. But obviously, some people were worried about getting more virus out of it, but it didn't really happen. So it's interesting, because there was, in Adelaide we had a protest, but nothing really happened out of it. In Melbourne, they've been locked down because they've got a lot of corona, but compared to the rest of the world, it's nothing.
Wow.
And they've tightened the laws in Victoria quite. They've been trying to extend emergency powers for another 12 months.
Wow.
So the population have gone against that, and I think, I believe there is a virus. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I also believe that we should protect our democratic rights at the same time.
Yeah, I think it's a balance, right? That we need to. It's a health. I look at it kind of like the way you do, which is this is a health. It's a health issue. It's a and especially if people can carry something asymptomatically and get other people sick, then we got to like manage around that. But at the same time, it's also, we have freedoms for a reason, and you got to kind of respect those too. And so what I've found here, and especially the States, we got hit pretty hard, right? In the States, we've had 100 and almost 200,000 deaths here. A lot of people like to argue whether those are real or not, but 200,000 deaths, I think 6.5 million cases here. And our population is 350 million. What's the population in Australia? It's 50 million? Is that right?
25 million.
25 million, right? So you guys are, 25 divided by 350, 6.5 dozen the other. You're about, 7% of our population. So 7% of 200,000. So you guys have, how many deaths do you guys have?
Not many at all.
Not 14,000?
No, not even close. I reckon probably like 200 or 300, if that.
Right. So that's pretty impressive, because if you use American math, you'd be at 14,000. But
considering that a lot of Chinese people that come to Australia too.
Right. Yep. Now, I know a lot of people say, oh, you're an island, so you can, and I'll tell you, we dealt with it on my side, and we have family down in Melbourne, and they're telling, we're getting the play-by-play, and I know that you guys, has locked your borders pretty quickly from outside people coming in and going out and stuff like that. So that is an advantage to a certain degree if you're managing that many people. But I want to ask you a question, because you're in the real estate business, and, here in the States, we're seeing residential home prices are actually going up. Because interest rates are so low, and the cheaper the money, it does create some asset inflation. But on the other side of that, we're seeing our hotels are getting killed here. The hotel business is not a great place to be, and the commercial real estate business and retail here, because a lot of these businesses, tons of businesses are probably going to go under here because of this. What are you guys seeing on the real estate side in Australia? Obviously, you haven't been affected as strongly, but what are you guys seeing over there? Or what's your position on the real estate in that side of the world?
Yeah, good question. But I look at the whole world as real estate in general, and what's happening at the moment. And I've been talking about this for a while. Is there's a trend going away from commercial real estate.
Okay,
that's the fact of it. So, and it's been going along anyway. So what's happening is more people are shopping online, more people getting Uber Eats, people are working from home, people are using their houses Airbnb instead of getting a hotel. So what's happening is commercial property in general is on a downward spiral. And what COVID's done is accelerated that. That's all. So nothing's really happened that's different to what was happening. It's just a lot quicker. That's all. So I expected this to play out over the next 5, 10 years. But it's played out over 1 year. And you can see in Australia, commercial property is screwed, but it has been. I've been telling you, commercial property is a tough one. And it's not long term because everything's going virtual and online. And now people know they can work from home since COVID as well, especially.
So yeah, it's interesting I've thought about it obviously from the standpoint of technologically you had a change in adoption of technology like Zoom. Like right now, you and I are half a world apart having a face-to-face conversation, right? Not to say we couldn't have done that, a few years ago. We've been able to do that for a while, but most people weren't running their companies virtually 7 or 8 years ago, especially larger businesses. Smaller businesses might have started doing it. I did it with my business 7 years ago, where we had 275 employees working remotely. But we were the exception. Everyone thought we were crazy to have that many people and that many people remote. So to your point, it's accelerated the behavior out of necessity. But the Pandora's box has been opened, and now people aren't going to go back. And then I also think, to your point, behavioral changes will happen from that. Am I really going to have people traveling for business as much if they don't have to? That's expensive, right?
I totally agree. A lot of people are doing virtual events instead of normal events. I mean, we've moved to virtual events because I used to do workshops in live. And look, I enjoy the live workshops, but I must say, I mean, it's easier doing it online, less effort, and you're actually making more money. You're getting more people on board, and it's easier for everyone. So, yeah. So in regards to the economy, what I like to do is like to look at the past, see what happened in the past, so I can predict the future. Mark Twain said, "History doesn't repeat, but it certainly rhymes." And and I like to look at the past. And you look at the flu pandemic, 1918. That was the last pandemic we had worldwide, and that was shocking. I mean, 50 million people died, so it was compared to a not small population. So the flu pandemic was magnitudes worse than what COVID will ever be.
Right.
More than likely. And what happened with flu pandemic is the economy went down, right? We had the depression, and then we had a massive bounce up, and we had the roaring 20s.
Right.
And so they don't call it roaring 20s for nothing. I mean, people were making money, like crazy money. The economy was going nuts. And that's what happens whenever you got a downturn. There's always a massive bounce, which is a lot bigger than the downturn. So if you have a little glitch, it goes right up. And you look at, for example, here in Australia, Black Monday back in when the stock market fell. And I mean, Black Monday was so shocking. People were jumping out of buildings and killing themselves.
Right.
And what happened was afterwards, everyone said, that's it, property's dead. Because the stock market just crashed. And the property went down, commercial property especially first, then a little bit of residential. And then we had the biggest boom in Australian history back in the 90s.
So what, let me ask you a question. So with that said, are you heading is the point that you're kind of heading towards is that, yeah, we have this downturn. Maybe it takes a couple of years to bottom out. Maybe it takes a year or 2 years. Obviously, we'll see what in different countries will be affected differently, right?
Yes.
Right. So it's not going to be one size fits all, but there's going to be a rebound, especially people once they get out of their homes and they get, and they're not feeling encumbered. They haven't seen their family in a while, depending on the magnitude of the lockdown. Here in the States, like I haven't seen my mom in almost a year, right? Mm-hmm. Because she's older and I don't want to put her at risk. And she has, some issues in health wise over that. She's a little higher risk than normal. So my kids haven't seen their grandmother. I haven't seen my mom. That'll be the first. I haven't seen my brother. Those will be the first people I see the minute it's safe to do so. Maybe even sooner. And so that's all economic spending, right? When that happens, right?
Yes,
you got to go travel, or they come to you. But you're going to see a worldwide shift towards that at some point. And when that happens, that's going to put a lot of money in people's pockets, and then they'll go out and you have this boom side of it. Is that what kind of where you're going?
Well, look, that's part of it, because what's happening is here in Australia, for example, everyone's savings are up. And if you calculate how much money business and people have lost, then the government's put in, Australians are actually $27 billion off at the moment, positive. if you take away the money we've lost, the money we've added. So, and because money's so cheap to borrow at the moment, government spending is actually a good thing, because if they borrow 100 billion now, in a year's time, they probably owe less than what they borrowed because of inflation.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because the money's so cheap. So yeah. To that end, though, we had a guy on the show a couple weeks ago, Jeff Booth. He just wrote this kind of scary ass book about, essentially, he believes that deflation is going to happen at some point. Massive deflation. And the reason for it is because of the increase in technology is basically technology is deflationary by nature, and that the federal banks and the federal bank here in the central banks across the world, the Fed here in the United States, have been pumping money into the system, manipulating their currencies, and that at some point, all this debt, if you look at all the debt that's being created, something's got to happen with it because you can't pay it off. And he believes deflation will happen, and that it's going to cause a pretty painful event worldwide. What are your thoughts around something like that?
I agree with deflation, definitely, but it's not going to be painful. It's going to be actually awesome. So what's happening is, for example, if you look back in the old days, I remember my parents, they bought the Encyclopedia Britannica, and it took up the wall in the lounge room. It took them 2 years to pay off, and it cost a fortune. Now you've got Wikipedia, which is 5 times bigger, and it's free and better and easier accessible. So everything's deflation. Everything's going down, but deflation doesn't actually, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing, because everything's becoming cheaper, more accessible. It's the, more things are becoming easier. Look at your iPhone.
Right.
You've got so many things in there that would have cost you money and that are free.
Right.
Yeah. So everything's becoming cheaper. And because everything's becoming cheaper, we're becoming wealthier. So the Industrial Revolution, what made people wealthy in the 1900s was the Industrial Revolution, which was deflationary, because instead of having one person working on a little, working in a blacksmith trying to make something, you've got a factory which makes it 100 times cheaper.
Got it.
So everything's becoming cheaper. But there's one thing that won't be cheaper, which is property, because we can't make any more of it.
Interesting. So your position is that on goods and services will become cheaper, certain ones, or in general, this will happen. Technology will make goods and services cheaper, which puts more wealth in people's pockets, assuming that you have a steady stream of jobs. His argument here in the States is that the jobs won't get replaced. But we don't need to argue that. Let's just say that they do.
We've had people say that for the last 100 years. I mean, back in the early 1900s, 98% of people used to farm. And when tractors came in, everyone said, that's it, we're going to have no jobs. But it didn't happen,
Yeah, so let's assume that argument, because I think that's out. The jury's out on that. His argument's that Moore's law is an exponential growth, and that we can't wrap our head around exponential growth. But I have another friend who said, well, look, he's right. That is deflationary. But, when you create new industries, that is inflationary, because you're creating new opportunities, right? So let's assume that that's a wash. Your position is that with excess wealth, people will buy more assets. That's I'm hearing you just said.
That's right. People buy more assets, and therefore it's going to push assets up. So let's say, for example, you've got a house on the beach. That's rare. Now, if there's more people, more money, they're going to be paying more money for that house because they want to live there, because that's the way it is. But also, what your friend was saying about the AI, like once technology is so great and everyone loses their job, money will be free anyway, so it doesn't matter.
So yeah, walk us through that. How do you mean?
Okay,
so everyone loses their job.
Well, not everyone's going to lose their job, but what happens is, as we get more technology, then we create new industries, and It keeps on. And what AI is going to do, and it's happening now. I mean, there's a massive AI revolution, and Moore's law, AI is actually growing 5 times faster.
Right. So
it's actually faster than Moore's law.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Wow. Because you're saying 5 times. So yeah, Moore's law is like 1.5 or doubling in speed every 18 months, right? So you're saying it's 2.5 times.
AI, and if you look at AI over the last couple of years, it's been going 5 times Moore's law.
Interesting. Okay.
And what they can do now is what used to take a big supercomputer, they can do on a normal computer with AI, because they've got special chips and everything. So it's really amazing stuff. I'm fascinated by this. And we're creating more prosperity in the world with this. That's the fact of it. There's more prosperity, and it's going to take a long time before we replace jobs. And it's going to be probably a different sort of system, because capitalism is not going to really work that well if everything's for free. But you look at now, for example, I've got a solar panel and a battery in my house. My electricity is free.
Right.
Now, when you think about it, there's never been like that ever, So you think about everything's becoming free. Now, when you've got free electricity, suddenly you've got free water as well in certain areas, because you can use electricity to make water. So electricity can do a lot of stuff and make other things free.
Are you are you talking like desalination essentially?
Yes, that sort of stuff. Yeah. So really, once energy's free, everything else becomes free as well, because we use energy for lots of stuff.
Right.
Heating, cooling, water, producing food.
So really what I'm hearing you say is, you will see a full paradigm shift in how capitalism exists, right? And
yes, that's a long time away though. Until then, what's happening is you've got three types of countries in the world. So you've got the countries that are moving ahead really fast, their GDP and populations. Then you've got they're called, they're the sort of the gainers. Then you've got the sustainers, and then you've got the losers. Right? And I don't like to put it that way, but some countries, what's happening with real estate, for example, you go to Spain or Italy, they've got villages that are just empty.
Right.
And you can buy a house for next to nothing because their population is going down, not up. Japan, their population is going down, and they don't have any immigration. So what's happening with a lot of places is the demand supply ratio when it comes to property is very skewed. So there's going to be a lot of properties in some countries that are just not going to go up in value at all.
Got it.
But you've got some countries where they're going to go up quite significantly. I'll give you the top 4 in the world if you want to know.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, Israel.
Interesting. So is it because of the demographic changes there, or in favor of what population increase faster than the supply of housing and real estate?
That's correct. So what's happening with those countries, they've got a lot of immigration, or a lot of people, a lot of population going up. They've got a lack of land. Israel and Singapore, right? And Australia and New Zealand have got a lack of land compared to what's coming in. Also, their GDP is going up. They've got a very modern economy that's actually going up and not down. So because of that, they've got all these things pushing them upwards. So those countries, you buy real estate in those countries, it's going to go up.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Singapore, you could walk across the whole country in a day.
Oh yeah, and they're doing. I have a friend that just went there. I was in Southeast Asia over Christmas last year, and one of my friends, we all, a bunch of Americans, we went to we met in Thailand for 10 days, celebrate the New Year, and then we kind of went our separate ways, and they went to Singapore, and he was showing me these vertical gardens, and I mean, it was the urban planning there is insane. I mean, they're so advanced there, Yep. So when you look at countries like the United States, right, that has been, I mean, arguably we're the financial leader of the world for, a long time now.
Yep.
We're having some issues here. But a lot of great technology comes out of here, and one could argue a lot of the best technology comes out of the United States. A lot of the leaders of the technological world come out of here. And so when you look at that, where did we land on that list?
Oh, okay. So United States is sustainable. It's going to stay the same. It's not going to go up or down. Where these 4 countries are going to really ramp right up and go to the next level, United States is a sustainer, because you've still got migration, you've got a lot of innovation, you've got a lot of stuff happening there, and it's going to maintain what you've got. So you're going to keep going forward, definitely. I mean, it's a powerhouse, but also it's interesting what's happening now with automation is slowly, and this is going to affect China quite a bit, because America pretty soon won't need China, because you'll be able to just do it in America with automation. It's cheaper than people.
Right. From a manufacturing perspective.
Manufacturing. So I think manufacturing is going to change quite significantly, because we're almost up to the stage now where it's going to be automated and you're not going to need that many people. However, the good part about the automation is a lot of people go, oh, we're going to lose these jobs. Well, you're not. You're going to have actually higher paying jobs to actually keep that automation happening. You've got programmers and blockchain. And so whenever you have innovation, I saw this really weird thing recently there's been this meme going around Australia saying, don't use your self-service checkout, because our kids won't have any jobs. And I'm saying, why would you want your kid having that job anyway? Right? We want them programming the self-serving checkout. Self-serving checkouts are great because we're getting rid of some menial tasks so we can do something better and add more value and have more fulfillment. So I really believe that the more shit jobs we get rid of, the better. We don't want to maintain those jobs. We want robots doing them. We want to do better jobs and more fulfilling stuff and make more money out of it.
Yeah, and I mean, really, what I'm hearing you say is that entrepreneurism is what makes the world go round, right? And that's what we're talking about here, essentially. So, I'm going to switch gears because you've been an entrepreneur. I think you said since you were 7 years old. Is that right?
8 years old. 8. I'll bring about 8.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell us about that.
Okay. So what happened was I started I was doing a paper run where we got this free paper in Adelaide, and I had a little area. And every time I delivered one to each house, once a week on a Wednesday, it was called the messenger press, I'd get 2 cents. And what happened was, then they gave me a second area because someone was sick, and I got that. And then I decided to get one of my friends from school, and I sort of gave him 1 cent. I kept 1 cent. And before you know it, I had 5 areas. And that was my first business, right?
So wait, so you were arbitraging labor at age 8?
I know. I can't believe I did that. I don't know where it came, but yes, I was.
Oh, that's so impressive. I mean, my first business, I was 9 years old. I had a candy empire with my brother. We were selling candy. We basically sold candy to our entire school. But that's really much more like being a drug dealer than it is arbitraging paper out. But
that's pretty cool. So what I used to do in high school is I used to buy computer disks in bulk, well, 10 at a time, because they're a lot cheaper than one at a time. And then I'd put software on them and then sell them. So I used to sell a bit of pirated software.
Yeah, you were selling pirate. I think that's called pirating.
Yeah, exactly. But there you go. But yeah, so that's how I made money in high school, which is a lot of fun.
So you were always entrepreneurial. When did you get into the real estate game?
All right. So I knew from a young age, because I came from a family that struggled to make ends meet. And I really knew from a young age that it was up to me to sort of make my fortune. And I was turned on by real estate since I was a kid. I remember playing Monopoly for the first time, and I loved it. I thought, wow. And when I heard you can do this in real life, I was like, this is so amazing. It's so much fun, getting people paying your rent and stuff,
Yeah.
So Monopoly really, as far as I'm concerned, was amazing for me, amazing education, and really got me motivated about property. And, I started investing in property and from my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And then I discovered I had 3 businesses. It's always worse than having 3 than 1. One's better, you know what I mean? But at the time, I had 3 businesses. I was working 80 hours a week, and I had these properties on the side. And what was happening was I was stressed out, I was burnt out, and one of my managers stole some cookware from one of my businesses. So I sacked him, and I thought, you know what? I've had enough of business. I'm out. So I quit and just gave one of my businesses to one of the girls working with me. She was a good friend of mine, and they closed the other 2, and that's it. I realized that my properties were actually propping up my businesses.
Wow.
So, what happened was,
how do you mean? How do you mean by that? How did they prop up?
So my properties were making me 180 grand a year. And I was pouring all that into my businesses and making nothing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So you had so you had these 3 businesses that you were like basically losing money on or not making money on. And then you had this real estate portfolio that was giving you free cash flow. And you're like, well, why the hell am I spending my time? I mean, probably it was 90% of your effort was going towards the businesses you're losing money on, and 10% was going on the one thing that was making you money. Does that sound about right?
That's right. So then I quit. So then I'm not having to work, make 180 grand a year without getting out of bed. Loved it. It was good fun. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
And how long ago was that when you had that realization?
Oh, so I was 37 at the time, and I really thought retiring and having a convertible Porsche and living on the beach was what I wanted.
Yeah, lots of people want that. They think they want that.
Yes. And look, it was fun for a while after doing 80 hours a week, but after about 6 months of this, I got bored.
Yeah.
I really did, and I got invited to a dinner with Tim Ferriss in Melbourne.
Okay.
The offer of the 4-hour work week. And we were having dinner, and we had a good little chat. And I was telling him how I wasn't doing any work at all, and he was like, "George, you got it all wrong. The 4-hour work week is you actually do 4 hours of what you don't like doing, but you still got a passion. You get up early and you work hard. And sort of that got me thinking. And I'm really glad, because I needed to find something. And then he sort of commented like, if you love it, the world needs it, you're great at it, and you get paid for it. That's your passion. And soon I decided to do coaching and teach people how to invest in real estate.
Nice. So you launched the coaching business, and how many people are you're currently coaching in your coaching business?
Okay, yes. So basically, we've got on different levels of membership over 2,000 members Australia-wide.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. And so before we go there, let me back up for a second. So you decided, so is it basically, and how do you get 2,000 members? How do you start with, tell me, how did you get to the first member, and,
All right, yes.
and how did you grow that? I'm really interested in learning this.
Yeah. So I had friends of mine ask me for real estate advice, right? Because they knew I made money out of real estate, I was good at it, and I started helping people out, and they wouldn't even listen to me. They'd go, great, thank you. So then I decided to start charging for it. Because I thought, if I'm going to do all this work and you don't listen to me, that's frustrating. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's
so
hilarious.
then I started charging for it. So I started charging $1,000. And then people started coming, and then I started charging $2,000 and $3,000. I just kept putting my price up over and over and over. Where now I charge $50,000, right?
Wow.
And the higher I put my prices, the more people want to join my program. It's funny. Now, 50,000 is my platinum program. That's the high-end stuff. But what I've done now is I've hired other coaches. I've really systemized how to invest in real estate in a step-by-step fashion. So it's so easy, so simple that anyone can do it. And I've just got coaches that walk people through it. And my mission is to actually empower 10,000 Australians to create financial freedom through investing in property using the Markoski Method.
So in the Markoski Method, are you guys doing residential? Are you doing multifamily? Are you doing commercial? What are you guys promoting?
I really stick to the bread and butter, and just very, very bread and butter stuff, 3 or 4 bedroom property that we rent out to a normal family. Because whenever you go outside of the square, that property is harder to monetize or sell or use the equity. And I find if you stick to the bread and butter, then you've got a massive market that you can work on. And basically properties double every 7, 10 or 12 years. So the key is you want your properties doubling. Because I remember my first property I bought, I paid $170,000 for it. And then it doubled again. It's worth $850,000 now,
Wow. So
yep.
So homes there are appreciating between 3 to 7%, depending on the city you're in, probably
per year. Yep, that's correct.
Per year, right? Okay.
However, over a 10-year period, they don't do it consistently. 2/3 of the time they do nothing, and then 1/3 they go up and just double.
Right. Yeah, you flat, double. Yeah, that's how it works.
And what I teach people how to get property for less than $50 a week and hold on to it so you can double it.
Oh, that's great. And so have you are you focused just in investing in Australia? Or are you looking at other countries as well? Like what are your thoughts?
Look, because Australia is probably the number 1 country in the world, as far as I'm concerned, because it's out of those 4 top ones, it's an easy place to invest. I know the market like the back of my hand. There's 16,000 suburbs. I actually got the statistics for every suburb in Australia. And I've got a massive spreadsheet. So, because a lot of people there's 2 types of research. You've got fundamental research. And fundamental is like, let's say they build a bridge or a school next to the suburb. Shit, it might go up, right? But it's hard to quantify. And you can't compare one suburb to another when you look at that. But what I do is I do statistical research. So what I do is I look at the underlying demand supply, and I'm looking at what people are actually doing with their wallets. Because people, they can say one thing, they can say, oh, this school's lovely, but if they're paying more money for a property here, or if there's a vacancy rate's gone down, those statistics show what people really think. And by that, I can rate the different states. And what I do is I choose the top 100 out of the whole country.
Mm-hmm.
Then it doesn't matter if the market's going up or down, you're going to go up.
Right. So you're saying, okay, here are the top 100 markets. People want to live in these places. As long as I know there's demand, it is outpacing supply in these areas. And this doesn't matter. You can do this in any city or any country in the world. It doesn't matter.
You can, absolutely.
Right.
And it doesn't matter where you are, unless you're in one of those countries that's going down. But if you're in a country that's a sustainer or a gainer, you can do this anywhere you want. And I've actually gone back and done the stats. And if you look at the experts in Australia, we outperform by 20% just through statistics.
You're talking about using the Markoski method?
Yes, that's right.
And what do you, and I don't know if you want to give away your secrets, but why do you think you're outperforming? Just because you're picking the markets?
The only reason I'm outperforming, I'll give away my secrets, I don't mind. There's basically what I do is I'll look at the metrics. So for example, if you've got a suburb that the vendor discount is low, people aren't giving a discount when they sell their property, that's a good sign. That means it's a high demand suburb. See, what a lot of people do when they buy real estate, they're looking for a bargain, right? You can't get a bargain because if you've got somewhere where people are giving big discounts, that ain't going to go up. You want the opposite. So I'm looking for the opposite of what most people are looking for. Also, most real estate magazines, they're saying, wow, this suburb went up 5 years in a row, you should buy there. I say the opposite. Don't buy there. It's already gone 5 years in a row. Go somewhere where they haven't gone up 5 years in a row. So as long as you've got the underlying demand and the suburb is below what it should be, that's where you get growth.
Interesting. And so, we had a question that just came in. In theory, could someone use your advice and be successful in the States or other countries? So it sounds like yes. But
if you got hold of the stats in your country and just followed my method, yes, wouldn't make any difference because the stats will be as long as you got the stats and you can get them anywhere, and you could probably get better stats in America than what you can in Australia, I'd imagine. Yeah, it'd work.
And so so the key to if you were to say the top 3 things that you look at when you're looking for a market to invest in, and again, if you don't feel comfortable giving away your secrets,
no, I'm happy to give everything away. It's fine.
Oh, so yeah, like give us an idea. What does the Markoski method say? Because maybe this is good for people in the States that want to learn from you directly.
Well, you know what? I never thought that it'd work in the States until you've mentioned it, and it does. Wow. So yes, so basically, one, I want to hold the property for the least amount of pain. So I want it to cost less than $50 a week.
So cost being negative cash flow. Is that
negative cash flow? Worst case scenario, $50 a week. Usually I go for positive, depending, but I don't want to go overboard with the positive because then it's not a good area. So you want to balance that out. So what I want something that's going to be easy to hold. And to keep it easy to hold, you really want the right structure. And if you structure it right, and that's the key, because a lot of people buy a property, it's so negative, but if you structure it right, so I like to lose money on paper, but make it in real life.
So you're talking about like depreciation and stuff like that?
That's correct. Depreciation, interest only, that sort of stuff. Because because an interest only loan is a lot cheaper than a principal and interest.
Yeah, you're not paying any of the principal down. So what I heard you just say is you're trying to be cash flow neutral to slightly negative at most, real cash on cash. And you like to use instruments like interest only, which in the States are harder to get because of our whole subprime meltdown. You can, some people can get it, other people can't, but you like interest only. And there was one more thing you had said. Interest only. You back out depreciation when you're looking at your expenses. Absolutely. Real cash expense. Right.
Yes, so I like depreciation because that can make it positive. So that's the first step in regards to the cash flow. Then what I'm looking at is I want something that's got high demand, less supply.
So how do you find that? What are some of the things you look at when you're looking for places, neighborhoods that have higher demand than supply?
Yes. So one is you need a lack of land.
Okay.
Lack of supply, one thing. And two, what you need to do is you've got to look at neighbor price balancing. So if you've got an area that's got a neighbor that's very expensive, it's going to push you up as well. Then you've got to look at market cycle timing. Market cycle timing is, okay, so this area's got underlying demand, but it hasn't gone up for 5 years in a row. So there's a certain average that property does. It's like a graph. Let's say it's going, 7% per year. And if something's underneath that 7%, it's going to go up back to up. If it's above it, it's going to go back down. It's just going to happen because property likes to go back to where it normally is. So you're never going to go crazy above that long term or below it. It's going to go back to where it is.
Yeah, we call that reversion to the mean, right?
That's right. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And that's what I want to look at.
Right. So you're looking, so So there are. So I come from San Francisco and Austin, Texas, which are two cities that are insane real estate places. And I've kind of gotten to watch, like here in Austin, it's had 10 good years in a row, and it may have 10 more good years because a lot of Californians are moving here. And and I don't know if this is necessarily the best market to look at because it was voted the number one place to live in America the last 3 years in a row.
Wow,
So,
that's pretty.
yeah, like when you have those situations, it's tough. So I think that's more of an anomaly. But in general, when you're looking, I like that idea of looking at these neighboring cities that maybe are. I used to call them bedroom communities. That's what they call them here in the States. Like the next door city hasn't gone up yet, but the two cities over, they've been going crazy, and people are because I think what I'm hearing you say is people get pushed out. They're like, well, I can't afford there anymore, so I'm going to go to the next city over, right?
Well, that's what happened in San Francisco. I mean, because of Silicon Valley, all these people were renting and paying more money, and then the more money people make, the more it grows and keeps going.
Right.
And it spreads out. It didn't happen. The whole of San Francisco didn't go up automatically. It started at the core and spread out.
Right. And I grew up right outside Los Angeles, and we used to see that there's these different counties, and so Orange County, which is just south of LA, that's where all the beaches are, what you see on TV in California. That was always a very popular area. The next county over, they call it the Inland Empire. It's inland, 20 miles inland. That was a much cheaper place to live. I watched that over 30 years. That place is just as expensive now as as Orange County now. So it's what you're talking about is people, especially going back to what we were talking about earlier. It's interesting because if you have more people working from home, they have more of an incentive to move to those places now.
Exactly.
Wow.
So what's happening is residential real estate is going to go up.
Yeah, especially with cheap, and you factor in cheap money, you factor in digitization. If I'm a person, I can, I don't have to live so close to the office because I'm not commuting there anymore, right? So are you guys, so is that when you're coaching your clients, you're giving them all these different areas? This is so great because I agree with you. I actually agree with what you said earlier. I think the Markoski method can work anywhere where you have a modern real estate market, right? Especially a modern residential real estate market. That's really cool. So for you, what's the big thing you're working on? What are your big goals coming up over the next 5-10 years? You have 2,000 people that are in the system that are different level members. What are your goals?
Well, my goal is to empower 10,000 people to create freedom through properties. That's 10,000 millionaires, right? And also my goal is I want to build myself a little biohacking lab. So I'm looking at a property at the moment. I want to buy a bigger house on the beach. I live on the beach at the moment.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool. Right, actually, I'll open up the curtain.
Oh, let's see it.
Yeah, so I live absolute beachfront. There's no road in front of me, just sand dunes and beach.
I want to see it. I want to see your beach. I told my wife that if Trump wins, we're moving to Australia. So
yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if you can see the water from there.
It looks blue.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. So there you go.
I'm assuming the endless blue is all water.
There's half water, half sky. Yes, there you go.
Yeah. Oh well, dude, that's so cool. So 10,000 people that get financial freedom because of your system. That's so cool. We had another question that just came in. George, would you share with us what your core values are?
Yes, I'd love to do that. And look, I must say, after talking to you, Darius, about core values, it has had a major impact on my business already. I can't believe the power of it. I can't wait till your book comes out. I really want to read it. It's great. So my core values acronym is HEART, and H stands for have fun. And what I consider this is progress over perfection. And this helped me the other day because I wanted to do a new membership site for our members a long time ago. And I keep stopping because I want to get it perfect. And then I realized, hold a second, have fun, progress over perfection. Yeah. And I just banged it out on the weekend. It was so easy. It made a massive difference. And then E is for everyone wins. So the company wins, our clients win, the community wins. Has to be a win-win. If one of the people in the equation doesn't win, there's no point doing it.
Yeah.
And A is for authentic. no bullshit. We want to be authentic and be real and be vulnerable. And that helped me because we had a company we were dealing with a couple of weeks ago. I didn't feel like they're authentic, and I decided because they don't feel our values, they're out. Because I only want authenticity. So it makes my decision so easy. And I asked radical responsibility. You know, we're responsible. You know, we do whatever it takes. And T, I've changed T now. It used to be take pride, but I love gratitude so much. So I've changed T to thankful and grateful.
Oh, I love it.
Because I think being grateful is probably the biggest gift you can give yourself. I can't think of anything better.
Yeah, there's a study out there that says you can't have fear and gratitude in your brain at the same time.
Exactly. But also, I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, I can't be grateful because life's shit. And I'm saying, well, you've got to be grateful first. You want to create a good life. Because grateful comes first, happiness comes second. It doesn't go the other way around.
Right. And look, you're alive.
Exactly.
Something
exactly.
that, you know, or if you have your health, or if you're even having half of your health, you know, it's a lot to be grateful for.
Absolutely. So I think gratefulness for me is my biggest thing. You know, I'm very grateful for everything. It's great.
I love your acronym HEART. That's beautiful, man. Thank you for sharing the core values with us. That's, you know, obviously, you know, that's a big deal for me. I believe that every result you have in your life, good, bad, or indifferent, is a result of your core values. So I'm so excited for the success that you're going to have and the core values that you're promoting, and really grateful to have you on the show, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. But I must say, I'm very surprised how powerful the core values were. And I've only, you know, because I met you 6 weeks ago, and I had the core values, but I didn't really live it until I met you, and you sort of infused in me, like, yes, you can run your business through core values, and it has made everything easier. Like, just it's the most powerful thing I've seen in years and years and years. So I'm a big believer in it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I love hearing that, because it took me a long time to figure it out. And when I figured it out, it was one of those things where I was like, it's, you know, once your eyes are open to it, you can't, you would be stupid to go back, right? Because you're like,
totally,
your life changes. You're like, oh, I can do it this wrong way, or I can do it this amazing way. It's not a decision anymore, you know?
Well, it's almost like if you've got a boat and core values are the rudder that helps the boat get where you want to get. And you're like, okay, I won't use core values anymore. Pull out the rudder. You're going to end up getting lost. You're not going to be able to get where you want to get.
Yeah, and you're going to have to use oars to, like, you know, like, yeah, you know, there's no direction. You're working twice as hard to get there. And the reality is you can get everyone to move in the right direction. And you move there a lot faster. So that's really insightful. And I love the way you think about it. And I'm glad that we've connected and you've gotten, and I really want, you know, obviously you're trying to get the book, and so when we get offline here, we'll go jump through that, because obviously the book comes out a week from tomorrow. Wow.
I can't wait. I'm excited.
Yeah. It's so cool. Like I was so excited to, you know, it's funny. I keep connecting with you guys down under. I had, you know, Mary Henderson. Are you friends with her?
No.
Oh, I need to make an introduction for you with her, because she has a magazine, Authority 5.0. You need to, I'm going to make it. I met her through Barry. He was on the cover of a magazine. I'm going to be on the cover of this magazine that's popular down in Australia
Awesome.
next week. Yeah, so cool. And you and I have connected, and I connect with Barry, and yeah, I love what's happening with you guys. And I had a friend actually that was on the show 2 weeks ago who owns the number 3 largest cheese distributor, cheese like company in Australia. His name's Sam Penny. I'll connect you with him too, man. You guys need to get to know each other.
I'd love to. That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm telling you, if Trump wins, sorry guys, I'm out. I'm going to Adelaide.
Adelaide's apparently very similar to Austin, Texas. There's a lot of people who live in Austin. Yes.
Oh, no way. Okay, cool. That's good to know. Well, look, where can people find you? I mean, obviously, look, it sounds to me like, I don't care what country you're in, if you want to invest in real estate, you know, you've got to learn the Markoski Method. So yeah, so
we've got a group online in Facebook, Positive Property, and that's where I go live each Wednesday, and that's where our community lives. We've got over 3,500 people that are motivated, they're driven by purpose and increasing their income and impact. So
Okay, cool. So at positive, say positiveproperty.com or at positive property on.
So it's a Facebook group called Positive Property,
Okay.
or you just Google George Markoski. I come up the first 10 pages anyway. You'll find me.
Okay,
Like
cool.
you know, my name.
So, guys, I'll have the team put that in the comment section. You guys can Google George Markoski. We'll have the team do that so they can put some of the links up there. So that's what they know to find you. You can go to Facebook, at Positive Property in the Facebook, and pull that up and join the group and learn more. And I've been listening to you. Like I said, man, I'm in real estate here in America, and I love listening to you talk about real estate. You're such a smart guy, and you have such great insights. And I'm really grateful to have you on the show and to have gotten to meet you. So thanks so much, George.
Thank you, Darius. I'm very grateful to be on the show. Thank you so much. Really enjoyed it. Loved it.
Yeah, so cool. Guys, so we got a big week ahead of us. We got 13 more guests. This is the crunch time into launch week. So pumped today. We had Mary and George here, just having some great shows to start the week, even though it is a holiday here in the States. We're getting after it. But guys, so you know where to go. At The Real Darius M on Facebook. Sign up there. You get notifications when we go live. Or you can go to my website, therealdarius.com. We've been updating that like crazy. There's tons of cool content on there. Sign up for the newsletter there. That lets you know who's coming up for the week. Like, let's say George and I do an interview offline. We'll be pushing it through our newsletter there. Sign up there. I promise I don't spam. It's all about value. And last but not least, go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's a great place where after I do the shows, they send a link. So if you miss the show, you can watch it there and you get a notification. With that said, George, my man, thank you, bro. This was so fun. I really appreciate it. And you guys know where to go, and we'll see you guys the rest of the week. Peace.
Thank you.
All right.